Today, the name Lamborghini brings to mind a very specific image. It's an aggressive status symbol, carrying a price tag meant for the ultra-wealthy. But this luxury icon grew out of a dirt-poor grape farm in post-World War II Italy. Ferruccio Lamborghini was expected to take over his father's agricultural business, but he chose a different path. While his peers focused on the harvest, Ferruccio spent his time taking apart and rebuilding the family's tractor. He left the farm to study mechanics, which at the time was the most cutting-edge technology available. During World War II, the Royal Italian Air Force drafted Ferruccio to maintain military trucks and diesel tractors on the island of Rhodes. When the Allied forces took the island in 1945, they recognized his mechanical talent. Instead of holding him in a cell, they kept him as a prisoner of war for a year, specifically to fix their military vehicles. To understand how the world's most famous supercar exists, you have to view the industry through the eyes of a mechanic in a ruined economy. Ferruccio was a pragmatic problem solver who viewed every vehicle through the lens of repair and efficiency. In 1946, Italian farmers were desperate to rebuild, but they faced a massive bottleneck. Petrol was prohibitively expensive due to post-war shortages. Most farmers simply couldn't afford to run the machinery they needed to work the land. Ferruccio saw an opportunity in surplus British Morris military engines being auctioned off by the government. He modified these engines with a custom fuel atomizer of his own design. The engine used a small amount of petrol to start, but once it reached operating temperature, it switched over to diesel. This allowed farmers to run heavy equipment on fuel that was significantly cheaper and more accessible than petrol. The innovation was so successful that Ferruccio moved from modifying surplus parts to manufacturing his own engines in-house. Within a few years, Lamborghini tractors dominated the Italian agricultural market. His tractor empire made him one of the wealthiest men in Italy. He began collecting the ultimate status symbols of the era, luxury grand touring cars, setting the stage for a legendary collision of egos. Ferruccio's collection included a Ferrari 250 GT, then considered the pinnacle of automotive success. However, he found the car noisy and rough to drive on normal roads. Most importantly, it was mechanically unreliable. The Ferrari's clutch failed repeatedly. Frustrated by constant repairs, Ferruccio eventually brought the car to his tractor factory and ordered his mechanics to tear it down. Inside the transmission of this luxury performance car, they found a matching component. The high-end Ferrari was using the exact same commercial clutch found in Lamborghini's agricultural tractors. Ferruccio upgraded the part himself and then drove to Ferrari headquarters. He intended to speak with Enzo Ferrari as a fellow mechanic to offer a solution that would improve the car's performance. Enzo Ferrari was famous for his pride. He dismissed the feedback, telling Ferruccio the problem wasn't the car, but the driver. He ended the conversation with a sharp insult. "Let me make cars, you stick to making tractors." Ferruccio took the insult as a mechanical challenge. He decided to build a flawless competitor, poaching one of Ferrari's top engineers to help him design a car that would surpass the standards of the industry. Enzo's elitism blinded him to Ferruccio's actual background. He hadn't just insulted a wealthy client, he had challenged a man who spent his life solving complex mechanical problems. The team rushed to prepare a prototype for the 1963 Turin Auto Show. They finished the chassis and body in just 4 months, but a major internal dispute left them without a functional engine in time for the exhibition. Ferruccio used a scrappy solution to maintain appearances. He filled the empty engine bay with heavy bricks, bringing the car down to the correct ride height so it would look finished to the public. He kept the hood locked throughout the show, preventing anyone from seeing the bricks inside. He managed to sell 13 vehicles based entirely on the appearance of engineering perfection. This model, the 350 GT, gave Lamborghini a foothold in the market. While Ferruccio focused on road cars, his engineers began a secret project called the P400. They wanted to create a street-legal vehicle with the pedigree of a Rivs car, even though Ferruccio had explicitly forbidden his company from entering the racing world. This car, the Miura, introduced a layout that changed the way high-performance cars were built. Instead of the traditional front engine placement, the team adopted Formula One logic and mounted the engine in the rear, behind the driver. The Miura's performance and design redefined the industry. This rear engine configuration surpassed anything Ferrari was offering at the time, officially establishing the mechanical DNA for the modern supercar. By the 1970s, Ferruccio's companies were world leaders. But he soon encountered systemic external crises that were impossible to fix with engineering alone. Political turmoil in Bolivia and South Africa led to massive, abrupt cancellations of tractor orders. Ferruccio was left with hundreds of unsold machines and a unionized workforce that he was legally prohibited from downsizing to save costs. The 1973 oil crisis then devastated the automotive division. As fuel prices spiked globally, the market for gas-guzzling performance cars evaporated almost instantly. Facing financial ruin, Ferruccio made the final decision to surrender. He sold his interest in both the tractor and automotive companies and walked away from his industrial empire. He retired to an estate in central Italy and applied his focus to the land, building a successful vineyard. His career came full circle, returning to the same agricultural roots he had originally tried to leave behind. Lamborghini spent the next 2 decades in corporate limbo. The brand passed through several owners, including Chrysler and a group of Indonesian investors, before the Volkswagen Group finally purchased it in 1998. Since then, the brand has seen an explosion in global demand. It has transitioned from a struggling niche manufacturer into a primary symbol of wealth and celebrity success in the 21st century. Despite its current status, the company's existence is tied directly to its humble origins. Today's multi-billion-dollar brand grew from a tractor mechanic's refusal to be belittled. If Enzo Ferrari had simply listened to a mechanic's advice about a clutch, the modern Lamborghini would never have been born.